Hello and welcome to Wise Guys Entertainment. This is your host Wyman. This is another episode of Movie Nuggets, bite-sized movie reviews for those with short attention spans trying to make a last-minute decision on whether to watch a movie in the theater, on TV, or on streaming. As of late, one of the apps I've been using is called Tubi TV, Tubi, and if you can get by with mandatory occasional 30-second advertisements, it's a pretty good solution if you don't want to pay for any services like streaming services such as Disney TV or what have you, or Netflix. Oh, I'm sorry, not Disney TV, but Disney Plus is what it's called. Um, today's video of Movie Nuggets is about Date Night from 2010. Date Night is a movie with starring Steve Carell and Tina Fey. And I, well, I actually ended up watching it because I tend to be interested in, well, I'm interested in all kinds of different movies, usually sci-fi, action, adventure, uh, fantasy, but I do also like the occasional comedy or even romantic comedy. And Date Night falls into the comedy. Well, I guess you could also define it as a rom-com, but I figured I'd check it out. I'm usually not much into Tina Fey um, because of her politics and because of her work on Saturday Night Live, but you can't deny she's got quite a talent for comedy. Um, so I checked out Date Night, and I actually was pleasantly surprised. I found it entertaining, and interestingly enough, it is actually full of adventure after it gets through, like, say, the first third of the movie. It's about a couple, a married couple, starring Steve Carell and Tina Fey, as I mentioned. And it's kind of like if you've ever watched True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis, it's kind of that idea, that kind of story. They're in a ho hum marriage. They still love each other, but you know things have gotten kind of boring, and they're needing some. They're needing something to spice up their lives because it's become too ho hum and by the dots. Um, so they make one fateful decision one night. Uh, they're just to change things up, try something different. They decide to try out dining out at a fancy restaurant, one that they find out later that you need reservations months in advance. They thought they could, go to this restaurant at a moment's notice and just walk in. But it turns out it requires way, way, way advanced notice. It's one of those really expensive restaurants. And then they find an opportunity to uh, get a seat, but it requires them posing as somebody else, a different couple. So uh, they pose as this other couple who originally had reservations but turned out to be no shows, and that gave them the opportunity to be seated at this table, enjoy this fine dining. But as you might imagine, it turns out this couple that they are posing as are involved in some kind of potentially criminal activity. That's as far as I'll go with it. I do highly recommend you watch it. You watch it at least once. I thought it was fun. I thought it was entertaining, and interestingly enough, well, I think Steve Carell and Tina Fey have been in many other movies together, and they do have quite a bit of chemistry. And if you've ever been in a relationship, you can relate to their characters, their doldrums, wanting to spice things up, and you can see throughout the movie on and off moments, precise moments where they are reconnecting as a couple. You know, reminding themselves of why they fell in love with each other originally, and why reminding themselves of why they decided to marry one another. So, yep, that's date night. That's date night for you from 2010. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for joining me. When you subscribe, be sure to mark the bell notification so that you receive all notifications, not just certain ones. Thanks so very much for joining me. Have a great one.